Broken things can become a blessing if you let God do the mending. Welcome to Broken to be Blessed Network, where dynamic women will share their experiences that will inspire, and experiences that have turned out to be a blessing. Now here's your host, Samantha McNeil.
My journey, so before I got married, I already had my son. I think he was about 3, 4 years old when I got married. Now, when I got married, getting to get married was a challenge because I had already had a child and all of that. As Natoya said, Christendom, everybody has their own opinions. And at the time, my husband was very focused in serving God and all of that. So there were persons who thought that because he's so spiritual and because of my background, then we shouldn't be getting married because I was not righteous enough for him. And there was another set no because of his family background and all of that. There were some persons who feel that he should not be marrying to me because he is not, you know, up to my level based on probably education or financial status or all of that. Anyways, I had gotten my confirmation and I remember one of the worst incidents happened. It was just a week before we got married. Somebody slipped a letter in my fiance at the time, slipped a letter in his Bible telling him all kind of things about me, things that I did before and all kind of things, trust me. And had I not spoken to him before all of that, and because that was one of the things about him that drew me, that I could not hide anything, I could not tell any lies. So he had already known everything about me at this point. But had that not happened, then all of this would have surprised him. A lot of lies, everything. I remember I sat in church that day and I wept. I wept. And this is like a week before the wedding. And somebody did that because they wanted him to call off the wedding. And I remember I sat in church and I wept. And I remember somebody said to me, I remember he saying to me, don't worry, this can't change anything. It just goes to show sometimes how there are persons in church, but they are not Christians or they are not children of God. But anyway, the Bible did say that the wheat and the tares must grow together until the day of harvest. So some of the things we have to expect. So we got married, and as I said, it was a challenge getting, and the two people coming together. You're having church and all of that. Two people coming together to make a life is not easy because they are coming from two different backgrounds, trying to put two different worlds together, and it wasn't easy. But there are times when I felt so pressured. There were times when I felt like running. There were times when I remember at one time I wanted to kill myself based on everything that I was going through. And I remember one day when I got up and I decided that, this is it. I remember I heard the voice in my head saying to me, you cannot kill yourself. It doesn't make any sense. You try, it's not gonna happen. And that was the time when the suicidal thoughts never came back after that. When I know it was the voice of God. I literally heard the voice of God telling me, it's not gonna happen. You can't do that. So don't even try. I have a purpose for you and you're going to fulfill what I want you to fulfill. And from that, never had those thoughts again. And going on, balancing, trying to balance. Sometimes I felt like this marriage was not going to work. I remember one time I packed up my clothes and I said, I'm leaving. I can't do this anymore. And my husband and myself, we talked and, I remember when I said to him, when I told him to pack up my clothes, he said, no, I didn't help you pack them up in the first place. So now that you want to pack, you have to pack them up back yourself and not helping you, And I laugh and I say to myself, what, I'm going to pack them up back because I put myself in this situation. Let me go and pack them up back, because he said, I'm not helping you. You pack them up, you pack them back out, and I tell you, I laughed in myself and I said, you know what, let me just go pack them out. And I packed them back up. But I mean, coming together wasn't easy and struggling to, because I believe that we were supposed to make life together. So everything, getting all the furniture we needed and all of that. And by a year, I was pregnant with my second child, you know, and my first child was living with my parents at the time too. So I had my second child. The pregnancy was not all that easy. I had diabetes with the pregnancy. But anyway, we went through all of that, and coming up now to my third child, there were times when my husband, coming up to my third child, my husband wasn't working again. And, you know, some people thought this and they thought that. And even though he wasn't working, it didn't bother me per se, because financially God was taking care of us. You know, so it didn't bother me per se. But you know, sometimes when you're trying to think what other persons, and you hear other persons saying things, and that start to bother your mind, and it start to put you in a place where you never need to be in the first place, because God is taking care of you. But everybody's saying this, everybody's saying that. So it start to bother your mind, and things that never used to affect you start to affect you. And you know, but I live to see God take us through that area. The postpartum depression was another era, and God took us through it. You know, and I'm just saying that every brokenness that we have gone through or we are going through, God has ordained it for a reason. And sometimes we have to also know the power of God. We have to know and understand that God is not just $1,000 God. I want $1,000 to do something, or I want $100 to do something, and God just, you know, yes, sit there. You know, sometimes He have to bring us through some things that we can testify of His goodness and tell somebody. I mean that, you know, you need to know this, you need to hear this, and not pretend. Sometimes as Christians we pretend that it's a bed of roses. Now we don't want to tell persons about the maca that is underneath the roses, that sometimes you shift and you get a stick from it. And you realize that, oh, this is not so, you know, so pleasing as I thought it would be. But all in all, I'm just saying that I have three different my kids. One is a teenager, one is 9, the other one is 2. So I have three spans of childhood in my house. And it's not easy dealing with them either. My teenager, he's in this stage now where he's locked away in his room, surfaces for food, or if he really wants to say something to you, he'll surface and come and say something and disappears again. Or you have to shout and quarrel or call for come and do this or something, and knock down the room door for some reason. Room door is always locked. And sometimes I threaten that I'm going to take off the lock and all of that. And then the other one, he is a different child. All of them different. You know, but God has helped me and gave me three beautiful children biologically. My adopted son, he's here too. And, you know, just dealing with them, dealing with the young people, all of that. Ministry, choir. Sometimes if you don't mind chop, you don't have any time for home. Because you're at choir practice, you're at praise team practice, you're at young people service, you're at one time I right now, to be honest, it's kind of easier because everything is online. So you know you just sign on. So the pandemic is a little bit easier. But at one point, I reach a stage that if I'm not working in that department, you are not getting me at church that night. The youth department, so I just drop off the kids and stay home. You understand? And so on. Because that's the only time you get with your spouse. And sometimes we fail to realize that if you don't spend time or get time with the spouse, you're going to end up in a divorce. That's just the
Yeah.
hardcore fact. The prayers and everything alone not going to help, because you have to perform your wifely duties too. So I can't, when my husband wants some, you know, I can't come and say, let me pray for your brother.
Yes.
Or, you know, I
You
can't
gotta
lay
be
my hands
real.
on him and say, be
No.
delivered in Jesus' name. When
Not
him
at
want
all.
me, him want me. So,
Yes.
you know, we have to understand how to balance it. I mean, and even though sometimes when they preach and do whatever, all the things that they do for God, when they come down, the physical part of them
The
kick right
physical
in.
is there,
And
yes.
they want their sex, and they want this and they want that. And we
Mm-hmm.
have to be there as wife. It's balancing a wife, a mother, and everything. Sometimes we spend more time on the ministry and on the motherhood and forget the spouse. And
So
that's why
true.
sometimes as in the church we have so much, you have a lot of marriages in the church that people are just in it, you know. And it's only up to a point where it's gonna be broken. because people are just tolerating each other because I don't want to end up in a divorce, or I don't want to this, or I don't want to that. But it's not really a happy marriage. You understand?
So
So
true.
we have to do the things that we have to do to ensure that the marriage is good, the children are good, and we also do what we have to do for God, right? Because remember, it's God, the family, and then the church. So some of us put it the other way. It's church, sometimes God, they are further. Because sometimes our relationship with the church is even more and better than the relationship that we have with God. So
So
sometimes it's
true.
the church and then family and then God. But we have to ensure that we balance it correctly, where we know our personal relationship with God is in a place where God is pleased with us and not pleased with what people say about you or what people think about you. I am kind of right now, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm a rebel because I'm gonna be honest. Some of the things
Yes, I
that
want you to
people
be
say in
honest.
the church and what people are doing in the church right now, sometimes I feel like I'm a rebel, but in a good way. You know, I don't know if a rebel can be good in a good way. I mean, I don't want to. Sometimes we use things that are not even scriptural, and we make a doctrine out of it, and
Out
we'll
of
run
it.
with it and create all kind of problems. I am not for that at this point in time in my life, so I probably seem to some persons as a rebel. I was on a program with Natoya there, and I was commenting on Natoya's program the other day, and I was saying, I don't need anybody to be deputy Jesus over me and tell me what I can do from what I can't do. I know what God wants me to do, and I know when I'm out of line with God, he nudged me and he let me know that I'm out of line. So I don't need somebody to decide. People right now probably deciding that I am not going to go to heaven, as I said, because I'm a rebel. But I mean, it's not your decision. It's about where I am with God and what God wants me to do and what I am doing that is pleasing to God. People we make, I mean, sometimes we hurt people in the church because of the things that we have. As you said, when you came back to church, people look at you as an outcast or whatever. Sometimes I even wonder right now, sometimes people talk to you in the church and you wonder, where is it coming from? Is it coming from a true heart? Because the next thing you know, somebody saying something else or doing something else around the corner. The same person that just smiled with you around the corner tearing you down. You know, but being hurt is something that is hard to deal with sometimes. Sometimes it kills your very self-esteem. You know, you don't feel like who you are, you don't feel like what you are supposed to be, right? But it's up to you, it's up to each person to know that, know your purpose, know what God called you to do. No, no, not don't let anybody just dictate to you and tell you what is it that you need to do. Just trust the Lord and He will bring you through. He will bring you through every hurt, every pain, everything. And He will bring out the best in you. Tried, proven, just trust Him and He will do the rest. You understand? So let us just, I mean, my brokenness, so many things, so many things. But God, in the end, He has turned my life around. And I am who I am today, right? I am who I am today because of Him. You know, there are certain things that I purpose in my life that I wouldn't do because of things that I've done in the past. And I'm doing my best not to. But as Natalia said, sometimes when people hurt me, it take me a while to get over it. Because even if some people they'll hurt you and then tomorrow they'll come and it's like they didn't have a discussion with you, but they'll see you and then it's like when you ever see when tourists see people and them just get all happy and I'm like, seriously, that's not called for. Like you didn't have a discussion with me. We didn't talk about it as in so we said, okay, we work it out and leave it. And you expect me to just ignore everything and so on. So it's about talking to people, as Natalia said, letting them know what you are about. And right now my husband is like my best friend. He is. I don't have any friends right now, to be honest. That I'd say I can call or something. I have people that I can call, but I don't have any friends that I just get up and go and all over the place. No. I would anywhere I'm going right now, it's my husband and myself. So we try to work on our relationship. 11 years in, right? And sometimes you look at some things that you didn't do then. I didn't probably spend enough time. I didn't have enough date nights. I didn't have enough this. I didn't have enough that. So right now we are trying to get to another level. 10 years, 11 years over the something, but we're trying to get to the other 11. You know, so you're looking into the stuff and wondering, okay, let's do this, let's do that. The kids just the same. Online schooling is a problem. I don't know about you. Online schooling is hard. Online schooling is stressing, you know. And for me, I have 3 kids, four classrooms in my house. And if one is having internet problem, I'm running all over the place. So it's not easy. The pandemic is not easy to deal with either. And if you don't mind, chap, you lose yourself. Being in the house, locked up with everybody, and you still lose yourself. You understand? But it's up to us. Whatever God gives me, I have to try to make the best of it, you know? So it's brokenness, but you have to allow God to turn it around for the better.
Awesome, awesome. And there are two things that you mentioned there that we wanted to look at, but based on timing, I'm not sure if we're gonna get to. But since Tina mentioned it, I'm just gonna highlight it. And when she mentioned the stages of our children and the differences that she faced with all of them. And one of the questions that I wanted to look at is the fact that I'm looking at their age and if it is different when they transition from a teenage year, from the baby stage into the teenage year. Because we know a lot of times that is another phase for persons. And it's like you turn things because the
Upside down.
teenager is just over here and just acting up and just, and if you don't find the strength and how to deal with and try to listen and try to still build that bond and understand the phase, I tell you, it can bring a whole new level of things that you didn't want. So yeah, that's something that we wanted, and I heard she mentioned that. Another thing is the when you said that there are times when you realize your husband is in ministry too, Tina.
Yes.
And we were okay. So I guess both of you will be going and doing the same thing. There are times when you find that one is in ministry and one is not. So it's like you're always the wife is always going or the husband is always going, and then the one that is not involved in ministry kind of feel like Jesus, church, too much at church now, man. That kind of a thing. It kind of bring another thing. And we realize too that there are a lot of persons who get neglected, and other spouse get neglected because one of the parties spend a whole lot of
So
time
much time.
in
Yes.
church and not balancing the thing. So we really, really want to highlight the balance. And now we're gonna have Natoya to share with us her journey and all of the
Datonya.
things. Tanya, sorry. You see, Tanya, I'm so sorry. You see, and share with us her journey, and all these things that we mentioned may come out in her journey.
Bless the Lord again, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing, Sister Tina. It's a blessing to hear everybody what they have been through. God is always good. It just highlight God and big up God, and that's what we're here for, to big him up, because in the end we are all unprofitable servants, and he's the one that really deserves all the glory and the honor. I'm not gonna be as long because I actually wrote down the stuff so that I could guide myself, because I know we have limited time. But my journey is somewhat similar to both ladies. I got married at age 22. My husband and I, we were both involved in ministry in terms of doing moderating, praise and worship, active in the youth department, ministering on a youth night and things like that. We both fell before marriage, as in we had sex before marriage. So things got a little bit difficult, and that stemmed from our own struggles with sexual sins, so masturbation, pornography, and then it spill over into that area, because we have never hugged all our lives that we have been best friends for 3 years. We never hugged. That is in the last part. Things just got out of control. So, but we had a good, our church wasn't perfect. There are times that, things were said because I confessed what was happening. They wouldn't know because, they're not paying attention according to me. But I could not function because of the way how I saw the bishop, the things that I believed that was necessary. So, I confessed what was happening. My bishop at the time, and I still applaud him for that. He was just so calm, so caring. He was a father. He was, but him the thump up my husband basically in his spirit. So when he meet with my husband, he gave some holy power talk. And so I came out like, okay, calm. My husband came out crying. So it was rough. It was a rough experience. And our church, they started a whole series because of our confession. But in everything still, they were still supportive. So I could, now that I'm older, I can understand. It was painful at the time, but I can understand that they were probably traumatized and like, okay, I don't want other young persons to find themselves in this. So, they wanted to call meetings and talk to the young men and the young women and things like that. But they were still supportive because we still could talk to them. They would still check up on us. And they didn't take us out of ministry totally. They still had us working in ministry to a lesser extent because they knew our passion and they knew how much we wanted God. Because remember, we went to them. Nobody knew we went to them. So I must applaud them. So from that time we have been broken. I have been broken. And then, we transitioned into marriage. Having not dealt with the brokenness, we transitioned into marriage. So even that I would want to add that timing was important. I believe my husband was the right person, but we married at the wrong time because we didn't allow ourselves to heal. And so when you transition into marriage with that sort of baggage and brokenness, then it's gonna cause some problems, right? So, entered into marriage, my husband still was dealing with guilt, dealing with the fact that he didn't stood up as a man and resisted me and all these things. I'm thinking that, oh, can I respect you? You should have stood up in your position. You should have not allowed us to get to that place. And so the respect dropped from there. So a lot of disrespect. He felt plunge himself in a lot of television and a lot of computer watching, just not to deal with the fact that he felt guilty. He felt like he failed God miserably. And then I needing him so much, needing him in terms of you just get married and you want to clutch on. But he wasn't emotionally available to deal with me. And I was so broken that I wanted him to fill gaps that only God could fill. So we were just struggling, but we were still in ministry. Now that is a plus and a negative because being in ministry, it didn't drive us too far out of our minds, right? But at the same time, we were not given enough space to deal with our brokenness. But we continued nonetheless. And our pastor, so while our marriage was being affected, and if home is not right, then it spills over into ministry. So although you are, ministering to persons, in your heart, you know that you're ministering from a broken place. And you're even afraid of what you may pour over onto others. So there are times when I used to ask God to help me, let not what I am dealing with rush over on the young people, because I know I was carrying some stuff. And I was saying, God, then if I am speaking and words are spirit, I don't want to release anything. So I used to pray about that a lot and ask God to have mercy on me, because I was working still in ministry, which at the same time it was, it was good, but I was still struggling with home and the argument. There's so many arguments, and our arguments were toxic. We didn't use bad words, but the things that we said to each other were so toxic. They were so heavy. They were so painful. We literally just hurt each other. We were just hurting each other because of the hurt that we were carrying. And our pastor tried, other persons tried to help us. But one of the things that was a problem in church is that you usually don't have persons committed to the ministry of counseling. So you'll have persons working in the area of evangelism, missionary, and all of that. But in terms of counseling, you don't have persons that give themselves to this ministry. So you find a pastor or somebody meet with you like one time, pray with you until they say, trust God, man, go on your way. And that's it. That doesn't work in all cases. Sometimes you need to go through a series of counseling sessions to sort of unravel why is there so many issues? Why are you so broken? And the truth is that, you know, I always tell persons that, you know, people say, oh, I don't know who to trust, I don't know who to talk to. It took us a series of persons. You see, the church is no perfect place. And if you're coming to say, okay, then, you know, I don't know who to trust and all that. Sissy, brother, sister, you can't even trust yourself. You understand me? And if you want help, I use the woman with the issue of blood as an example. 12 years she was carrying a situation. I'm sure every time she has to go to a different physician to explain, it must have been embarrassing. It must have been rough for her to talk about it over and over. But when the right physician came, she got healing. But it took her 12 years. It took her all of 12 years of moving from one physician to the next. And there's a lesson in that. I think her faith, her tenacity to find help, when finally because I believe there are many others we don't hear about in the Bible. Well, and so if you're in a broken situation, somebody again. Listen, church, because if you see with Jesus, there was Judas there who was a hot mess. There was Peter there who denied him. Church have no holy for perfect people. You have to just get with the program, and that's what I'm learning. I'm learning that God rubs us against our one another to make us. He rubs us. He rubs us against each other to make us. Who else could hurt you the most to get you to the place where you love God and love people? Now, most your church brethren, it could use a sinner because you don't know how sinner will operate already. So I have to use somebody who is in the church who would cause you a level of pain that you would have to know how to love. So that was for some pain, but when we finally got to, you know, bring us into his office, and he sat with us for a series of sessions. And I was pregnant with my third child at the time, and that's when we got our turnaround. He sat with us, he worked with us through every session. We ball with the ball, we cuss one for cuss. We could have just been broken, and my husband was so broken, I was so broken during those sessions, and that was when we got our healing. So in terms of with, you know, having children, when children came in, it was challenging, but we still operated in ministry because I am the eldest of 7 between my parents. So I've always known how to, you know, balance out myself and do what I'm supposed to do. I'm a workaholic. I'm a clean freak. That kind of toned down a little bit, but I know how to balance. I really know how to. So it wasn't a challenge for me to cook and do my thing and just get with the program and be at church in the night. It was just like, yeah, we're going and we'll just do a thing. And then we had that support where we didn't have a vehicle, but persons came and they'd pick us up and carry us. So it wasn't so. I believe our church was that we had that level of support, because when my mother didn't live with me, but we had a sister Donna, who would always, every baby may have sister Donna for 3 months, would make porridge and soup and bring egg and bring, you know, they took care of me. So I had that level of support. But the third child, I think the third child was the breaking point. So we got counsel, the council helped us. And then we decided that, you know, I was at that time the youth president. I've always been one of those leaders who delegate. And I was a strong leader. When I say strong, meaning a person who you don't put me in a position and then I'm a puppet leader. I don't do puppet leadership thing. So I used to have a mind of my own, and we run that department, and I gave persons a lot of responsibility so that even when I backed out, they were able to do the thing. So I went through that with 2 children. And then by the third child now, things broke down, because by that time I was dealing with depression. Come and say, another pick me again. I never want more pick me. You know, I'm going to school and stuff, and I didn't want any more children. And that wasn't really the church, but that was really me saying, I don't want any more child. And I was depressed. I was literally depressed. I think I went to church about 3 times during that pregnancy, during that 9 months. I was so depressed. I hated the baby. I didn't want to have the baby. I asked God to let me lose the baby. pray and beg God to make me lose the baby. I wish I could abort the baby. All kind of things I go through my mind. Me don't want no more picnic. Picnic, I go mash up my life. Picnic, I go delay my purpose. Picnic, I go do this. All of those things. I was in school. I was doing well. What is this on me? So I was just laying in the couch, depressed. And then for all of my pregnancies, I am sick. I vomit right through the 9 months. I have no use to myself. You know, and it was just awful. It was just awful. And remember, my husband and I, this is when we got the turnaround. So we had some little good times. It wasn't always bad, but you know, most time of the arguments and the conflict and stuff. But by the third baby, we were now in the counseling, working together. And I think that is, you see, God is so strategic because he used every one of my children, every one of our children to bring us to a place where we just got better and better, but we didn't see it at the time. Because those babies came at critical points in our marriage, critical points. Because enough time me say divorce, you know. Me say, me a pack up, me done, me can't take this, you know, crosses, no more crosses. Because me have purpose for my life and, you know, and all these things. And I feel messed up and I feel like you're bringing out the worst in me. You're just mashing up my life and everything. But really and truly, he was bringing out the worst out of me. And I'm so glad because I didn't know I had all these things in me. I thought I was a submissive woman. I mean, before marriage, I would talk about submission all the time. So here I am in marriage and I'm a hot mess. So I'm thankful. I'm grateful that those things were exposed. I mean, me can tell, you know, so I'm grateful for God. I'm really grateful because the Lord was really showing me who I am without him. Because sometimes you think you're somebody, you know, you really think, say, you can't cut a little dash. You know me, I say, you say, yeah, mom, you can't, yeah. But God have to show you, say, Let me just rule grace and rule righteousness and show you, say, you are just one step away from being a skittle. So I'm just grateful to God, you know, for what he has done in us and or turn or sure. I'm not laugh at
Tina, you get somebody hotter than you. You're not ready yet, Tina.
So the rebel not cut it.
You don't cut it, Tina.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh Lord, praise God. But I'm telling you, sisters and to our viewers, that it has been a journey, one that I, you know, a lot of things God didn't want to happen. He didn't want it to happen, but he allowed it nonetheless so that we, because of our own decisions, I remember God don't affect our free will. So when we got the counseling, that helped us. And then I dropped the ministry. So I made a decision that I'm no longer going to be a youth president. That was painful because the young people felt like I neglected them, which I didn't know. They felt like I abandoned them, but they were still very close to me. So that was something that I explained to them afterwards, that I couldn't manage anymore and that I really had to choose me this time because I'm not gonna fade out. If there is no me, then how can there be a youth president? So what was painful about that is that, you know, when I resigned, nothing, after serving for 7 years, my pastor, that was painful. And I'm not afraid to talk, he's a good man. But that aspect, they failed miserably. They didn't, they just said, oh, you know what, thanks to McLaren, I've served the longest as a youth president. People just 2.5 years, 3 years, whatever. And I've poured in the church. We never beg for money. We do everything ourselves. We were independent and a strong unit. And it's because a lot of persons never liked me, you know, because I was very stern about certain things. But I did what I was doing and I didn't care. But not in terms of disrespect, but I felt like if I'm in a position, then you can't try to bypass me to go to pastor. It not gonna work. It not work. So because I'm respectful and I follow protocol, so why should you, because you think I look small or look young or whatever? I don't work like that. So, you know, because of my strong personality, sometimes that would, you know, cause persons to be like, oh, she go on and all these things. But no problem with me because I knew who I was and I've never been moved really by what people, as a matter of fact, I don't have time to hear what people have to say because the friends that I have around me, them know what to tell me and when not to tell me. So that was even safer for me. But then we, you know, what helped, the counseling helped. I resigned and everything from the ministry. And then I transitioned into the women's ministry. So you see, it was a lot. It was a lot. But for me, striking the balance, there is no balance. there is no balance. My family always come first, so there cannot be a balance. It is not going to be like this. It's like this all the time. So right after God, it's my family. And after my family, then I deal with ministry. Because if I can't minister to my family, if my children don't see Christ in me, if my husband can't attest to me being a child of God, then I don't care what everybody else has to say. And every now and then we have to remind ourselves of this, that people will say, oh, Natoya, you are a great woman of God. Listen, when you're dead and gone, the only people that really, 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 really touch is the ones that you live with. People say what they want to say, they move on, but your husband will be the one who sit down and say, why me miss my wife? Why they or whatever, if you're in a situation, he's the one that's gonna run, come to your rescue a certain way. So there is no balance. Let it always be that your family comes right after God. And if that is the case, then no balance now go strike. It already set and it is clear. And how do I deal with this? I'm practicing now to say no. And even if Samantha could relate to when she reached out to me, I told her I would get back to her. First time I was like, yeah, man, sure, no problem. I have to look at my situation, analyze if I can or cannot, say no. Know where is it that I fit in, because you know what, not every assignment is yours. Sometimes you have to know if you say no, it sound good, it look good, and that's something me think, but I know me, I know my thing that no, I know my assignment that right now me have to focus. And so if you are not able to focus, you're gonna feel like you're stretched. And you have to think of the fact that you're not indispensable. You see, church lacks poor administration. This is something that I talk to my pastor all the time. So we not have the administration. Every one of us goes to work, and the workplace have more administration than the church. And all of we go work and know our workplace run. I said, why are we so lacking in administration? To the point where me have to do praise and worship, and me have to go to Sunday school, and then me have to go to what? Me not doing that. The church not lack for me and run around the place like headless chicken. If me dead a morning, you think we're not gonna find somebody? Listen,
Yeah.
you're not burn me out. You're not gonna burn me out. You're gonna find somebody and you're gonna use that person there. The person may not be as skilled, the person may not be as eloquent as me, because sometimes them do them something and they flatter you, flatter you. Oh, we need you. And
yes,
if
we
you
need you.
no,
Yes.
if me dead a morning, the person who you think you could use, you have to go use them. And sometimes we hinder people from growing because
So
we're saying
true.
that they are not capable. Me no want stand in the way of nobody growth. So guess what? Me I tell you what me can do and what I'm able to do, and I'm not going to stretch myself. I know my limitations, and I'm not going to go beyond. So you have to analyze yourself to, and say, listen, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm going to be the choir director, and I'm going to teach Sunday school. You see, other things, find somebody, find them. You see, sister over there, so where you think you can't talk, tell her to go talk. Because God can't have nobody in a church to go sit down and look good. You understand me? And sometimes when we push people, you'll be so amazed that the same person they thought, oh, she can't, she's same one, I do a great job in the area. So we have to remember we are not indispensable. No make nobody have to run over the place like say, oh, no, me not indispensable. Me can't do that morning. Don't do it. Don't do it, because if I die tomorrow, all you're not gonna do at my funeral, and that's it. No. There are other persons that can be used. So we have to, and we too can show them the persons. So while you're also acknowledging that you're not able to work in the area, you can see somebody and say, Pastor, what do you think about so and so? She can do it in our brother so and so. Use him, man. Try him and build him up. You understand me? So those are some of the things that I do. When I was youth president, me use people for moderate when I even know. I say sometimes they shame, then I say, listen, go there now, but moderate. Because moderating is like driving a vehicle. The only way you get better is if you keep moderating. You understand what I mean? So that's what I used to do to get persons to come out of their comfort zone and encourage them. So the pressure come off of me. So if me want to take a day, me take a day, because me put them in a group to plan the service. If the service mash up, pastor don't come to me. Listen, me put them in a group, and if it mash up, after them, them to sort it out. Because at the end of the day, not everybody in here are big people and big man, and them go to work, and when them get on their job, they know for function. Why would they come to church and they know for function?
Yes.
Then turn idiot, them don't know for function, then they know for the things. No work stuff. means when it comes to those things, me talk up. So, those sort of things, it helps to alleviate the stress. When my pastor same feel stressed out, me say, sir, you want stress? Me say, listen, too many workers are not doing anything. Single people are one of the laziest set of people them in the church. Married people do more sometimes than single people. Them fear run up and down and tear down the whole place and go back road and front road and find souls. When you look at married people are all over the place. Me say, what the singles them a do? Una have no husband fi take on or no picnic fi take care of. What you doing? Go work for the Lord. And I just tell them just like that, because a lot of people sitting down doing nothing. And you are there killing out yourself, burning out yourself. I am not doing it none at all. So if you wanna, if you're in a position and you want to strike the balance, no balance I need to strike. Your relationship with God come first, your family, you understand me? And then you think about ministry. Because ministry is not who you are, it is what you do.
What encouragement can you give to mothers and wives who, after a while, after having children and all of the bustle and the hustle with life, to stay and to still look like the wife or as close as possible to how they got married?
I want you had, before I answer that question, I wanted to speak to a little bit on the parents, the parenting styles. Persons can go and look it up a bit, because we didn't get to touch a bit on it. The uninvolved parent. I think there's the authoritative parent, authoritarian, and then you have the permissive parenting styles. So persons can go ahead and read up on that. But if you're dealing with children transitioning from young to teenagers, one of the things that I learned about in a parenting session was the 3 R's: relationship, rules, responsibility. You can't establish rules if you have not established a relationship. And when you establish rules, then they learn to be responsible, right? But the first thing is to get a relationship with them. And teenagers are so difficult. I have no teenagers, but because of my years of experience with my younger sisters and with young people, even them, some of them coming to live with me and stay with me a lot in my house, they kind of know, say, listen, me not make them attitude, because they know me a mad man. So they know who to play with and who not to play with. Me only want to know, so when me tell you to do something, you do it. And I try to have conversations a lot. So I rap with them, laugh with them, so them not feel, But when I set those rules, that is it. Just do it, and me and you will be fine. Just do what me say. So if you want to lock up in your room and all, me understand. Because I have been in that phase where you're still discovering yourself, but I try to have conversation, especially about sexual stuff, because I know that you lock up in your room, on your phone. Me no want you go feel like, say, if you touch yourself, me no want your phone go change to pornography. So me have to talk to you from early until they say, listen. Just like I can give a testimony with my little daughter. We're so try to be playing with our children. I remember one of our relatives, you know how kids can be when they come over to sleep. So our little cousin was saying to her that, come and tap on me, because they were sleeping. Imagine, me no know because they're my cousin, but I'm showing you how children can be in the mind. And he was saying to her, come and tap on me now. And she said, no, you're crazy. That's how big people. No, she's just 7 years old. My daughter is 7. The first one. She said, and she got up in the morning and she told me, and she said, Mommy, I told him that it's for adults and that I am a Christian. She not baptized her, no, but she's a So
Of course, the mindset
when
is
you
there.
establish that relationship with them, and then you have your rules, they become responsible. They know what is right. And even when they fail, you tell them why is that you're disciplining them, and explain to them these things. So I just want us to touch on that a bit. I know we're rushing and stuff, but as it relates to looking sexy and maintaining all of that gorgeousness, I must commend all of us. We look good, especially mother of 4, mother of 2. I'm not Samantha, you're mother of 2.
One.
Still look good, we still look good. I must say that. But the truth is, when you have a good, I think the spouse, he also contributes to that greatly, because I don't know if everybody on the line, well, so far everybody seems to have a good up husband, but we have good men, and I think they really appreciate us, and that helps to clothe us with a beauty. It helps us to fix up ourselves too. Because sometimes, if it wasn't for them, me not say would fix up, but we probably would do it as
Not
much.
so
Because
much.
sometimes I tell you the truth. And every day, a good act up, dress up. When you go market, God, sometimes I go market, I have to pray for nobody about me. But me no business, me just want, you understand what I'm saying? So the truth is that it's really him. Sometimes, I say, baby, you look good, and I say, I'm just fix up myself some more. So, when you have that good spouse who values who you are, who values your body, appreciate you, it helps you to clothe yourself in and fix up yourself and set yourself right and them sort of something. Because by yourself, sometimes it's tough. It's tough for you. It's tough, man. I think man help them sitting there. When you have money, it help you.
So,
Natoya, tell me.
honestly, I'm behaving myself wisely in the house of the Lord. But
Oh God.
I want to agree. I want to agree with with Sister Datonya. One of the things I was doing when I started having children, because I was a model, and a lot of persons don't know that, because when you're in church, you some things you do and you're hiding because you know what, nobody know. So I used to be a model, and I'm marking, me I do all make me nice show them Saturday now come to church Sunday, and I sing for choir all the nice things there. And this is what happens when you can find yourself in and realize where you are going wrong. And the Holy Ghost is important, because it is the Holy Ghost in you that is gonna prick you and make you know that something is wrong with what you're doing. And I remember, I will never forget that last show I did in Ocho, and when I was about to step out on the stage, my shoes heel broke. And I remember when I looked down and looked on the shoes heel, it made a cross on the floor. Like maybe when I slipped, it created a cross. And when I looked down and saw that cross, me, straight and change in the room, pop me back, straight pan bus, straight to Montego Bay. And I knew something was wrong. And man, I went through a whole period of confession before God. Long and short of it is, I always liked looking good. Even when I was going through depression, man, I decided prettiest depression girl. Cause in my mind, my outward appearance have always look good. But you know what? When I started having children, I started feeling horrible about myself. But like Sister Datonya said, when we have good spouse, so the good spouse them, all when time you feel like you look like one barrel. For my husband always say, well, girl, you know if you use the barrel. So it always make me feel good, because me I say, boy, even though me feel like a barrel, him say, well, you know if you use the barrel. And these little things will make you feel good about yourself. But my thing to women, you have to first feel beautiful from the inside. If you don't feel pretty on the inside, if you don't feel beautiful on the inside, whatever comes out is basically what's happening on the inside. So if you feeling yourself, say, boy, me not look good, me ugly, the only thing when come out is ugliness. Because you everything will come from your mouth go ugly. You put yourself together, go ugly. So first of all, you have to master making you inside looking beautiful. Affirm yourself daily. Tell yourself you are beautiful. Try to make sure that the inside is beautiful. And if the inside is beautiful, everything else about your life is going to be beautiful.
The first thing I want to say is, and I like that with Sister McLaren, we have to be honest. Be honest with ourselves, where we are, what we're dealing with. And the second thing I'd say to somebody, let Jesus be your guide. Let Jesus be your guide. Be honest, be true to yourself. And God will do the rest. Trust him, put him first, and he will take you through whatever it is that you have to go through.
3 points. Don't neglect your prayer life. Your prayer life is paramount to who you are as an individual. 2, what's your association? Whoever you associate yourself with definitely will help to make who you are. So if you are surrounded by women who complain, who don't look good themselves, who are depressed, you're going to eventually become that person. So you try to associate with women who can lift your spirit, who's always pushing you to become better. And the third thing is to practice self-care. Self-care sometimes means saying no. Self-care sometimes means leave the house alone. Sometimes it means going out, hanging out, sitting and meditating and listening to your thoughts, right? So you have to practice self-care. Even in the midst of having children and husband, you have to practice self-care. Whatever shape that takes for you, you have to do it. So as I said, it may mean going out with your friends. It may mean being by yourself, writing in your journal. It may mean just having ice cream by yourself, whatever it means. Go stand up in the bath. I love to wash my hair in the bathroom when I feel overwhelmed. Just lift the house and just go wash my hair in the bathroom and make the water beat against my body. I feel so refreshed. Whatever form that takes for you, do it. Because guess what? If you are not around, you cannot be of any benefit to your children or to your husband or to the ministry. You can only give what you have.
One is that you are most important. Besides God, you are most important. So first of all, establish a relationship with God. Maintain that relationship with God. And if you can do that, what you need to do is now make yourself important. If you do, then what will happen is that you flow easier with everything else that follows. You are important, and you have to understand that. You are important. Your health is important. Your mental health is important. Your wealth is important. Everything about you is important. So establish a relationship with God and make yourself most important besides God. The next thing I want to tell you is that understand that you are replaceable. So don't burn yourself out. Never try to please everybody, because pleasing everybody, you're going to wind up hurting yourself. So what you need to practice is to be a God pleaser than a man pleaser. Please God first. If you please God first, everybody else have to fall in line, whether them like it or not. Please God first. Not everybody's going to like you pleasing God. Not everybody's going to like what you do pleasing God. But at the end of the day, aim to please God first. In addition to that, and my final point is understand that you are called. Whether you call for sit down at the doorway and hand out flyers every Sunday morning, you have a call, whether or not you think. All of us were born with purpose locked up in us. And if we establish relationship with God, He is going to reveal that purpose. But we have to be listening and watching and wait on God to manifest that purpose in us. And once we identify that purpose, we need to go after, walk into that purpose. And in doing that, sometimes we don't please everybody around us. But we must understand that all of us were born with a purpose. And if we allow God to manifest that purpose, not everybody is going to be in agreement with your purpose. So everything that we go through since the program is Broken to be Blessed, everything that we go through, every brokenness, every pain has a purpose. And when the purpose is brought to the forefront, what we have to do is just walk into purpose. Sister Samantha, I thank you for the opportunity to share with you. And I do hope that whatever we do from here on, we understand that our life reflects Christ. It's a mirror. Our life mirror Christ and mirror the word of God. And whatever we are mirroring, whatever we are putting out there, whatever people are seeing, if we're not exemplifying Christ, then we are not living at all.
Thank you very much, ladies. Thank you for being here and thank you for sharing.